Welcome to Alif TV, and I remain Bajari. Now, on to Banue State. The governor of Banue State, Reverend Father earlier, over the week, inaugurated the 10th House of Assembly member, and after which he went ahead to release a circular that is so controversial among the different political spectrum from this state. Now, there are a lot of congratulatory messages. So many people are so happy because he is a people's governor. What do I mean by people's governor? The people of Benue State wanted Father earlier so much, and they now have him. Now, the question now is this: will he be able to go ahead and deliver the dividends of democracy? Let's look at his speech at the inauguration of the 10th House of Assembly members.
It is my pleasure to be here at the occasion of the proclamation for the inauguration of the 10th Banue State House of Assembly in accordance with Section 105, Sub 3 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. The import of this event in the life of our new administration, that is exactly 7 days today, cannot be overemphasized. This is because it is the coming on board of the legislature which is the main pillar of our democracy. We are fully prepared to respect the sanctity of the doctrine of the separation of powers under democracy. We will not interfere in the internal affairs of the legislature.
You have watched what Frederick Alia had to say about the constitution and development of Benue State and separation of power. We have seen in the past years how governors hijack the House of Assembly and try to use that, to benefit them. We also saw how the immediate past governor tried to pass a bill through the 9th Assembly, to give them life pension, among other things. So, are we going to see this current administration, obeying the separation of power that is embedded in our constitution and the kind of government we practice? Time will tell. Now, in the other news, the governor also lamented that the past administration left nothing for him at the government house. He emphasized that there was no vehicle left at the government house, nor any properties, that all were weeks away by the past administration. Is that true? I don't know about that. But this is something that is a surprise to most of us, because I see no reason why, as a governor who has been governing the people for the past 8 years, living in an office and then you weeks away with vehicles and properties that do not even belongs to you. Nigerian Airwaves. Popular journalist David Hendren reviewed the top secret of how President Muhammadu Buhari destroyed Nigerian economy, and also alongside with the aviation minister went away with huge amount of money from the aviation sector. Call that few days before the passing away of the administration, we recorded that there is now a new Nigerian Air. And in this exclusive interview, David Hendricks unveiled actually what transpired in the aviation sector that brought about the new Nigerian Air. Let me allow you to watch this video and have full understanding as to what David Hendricks said about this particular issue with aviation sector.
Now, being someone who has a sort of an interest in aviation as a hobbyist, even though I'm not a professional in the space, just from my casual knowledge of the space, I knew that to register a new airline in Nigeria or anywhere in the world, you need something called an Air Operator Certificate, or AOC. And the process of obtaining an Air Operator Certificate takes between 2 and 5 years. It's not like buying a new car. It's not like setting up a road transport line. There's a lot of international processes involved. Even if you're in Nigeria and you're only subject to the NCAA regulations, in order for Nigerian airspace to remain open to airlines flying in from the US and Europe, in order for Nigerian airlines to have access to EU and US airspace, they still need to abide by EU and US regulations. So this idea that this thing called Nigeria Air, which after the unveiling of the logo in 2018 at the Farnborough Air Show, there was nothing done. We heard nothing about it again. And then all of a sudden, in the final few weeks of the Buhari presidency, there was this last-minute flurry of activity that immediately raised the red flag that what is really going on here? Because you cannot put together an airline in a few weeks, right? You can actually trace the timeline from when, a few weeks to the end of Buhari presidency, there was, I think, I forget who it was that made a comment, but someone in the public space made a comment about how, oh, by the way, what happened to Nigeria Air? I think it might have been Sheikh Husani. I'm not completely sure about that. I'll need to confirm that. But from the moment where that individual made that comment, and then to when we started seeing this flurry of activity from Hadi Sirika, the timelines match up almost perfectly. So to my eyes, it seemed as if the ex-aviation minister realized belatedly that he was about to leave office without his signature promise wasn't going to be delivered before he left office. And then he panicked at the last minute and then ran around trying to make things happen in the usual fire brigade manner, as we call it in Nigeria. But obviously in aviation, that's not the space where you can do things in a fire brigade manner, not even in Nigeria. So I had a few conversations with a few contacts of mine who work in the space, and I heard a lot of things, which obviously couldn't be backed up with documented evidence, which is why I couldn't put them out into the public space. But I heard a lot of allegations that this man was trying to bulldoze his way through the regulatory procedure. And when he couldn't have his way, there were a couple of people in the NCAA who actually resigned because of his attempted bullying, because he couldn't force through the expedited registration of this thing called Nigeria Air. Now, where it all really came to a head was when on the 26th of May, this supposed Nigeria Air aircraft was to be flown in. Now, if you have even a passing knowledge of aviation, you would know that if an aircraft is to be registered in Nigeria, is flying for a Nigerian airline, every aircraft registered in Nigeria has a tail identifier with a code starting in 5N. That's the Nigerian standard. So whether it's Aero Contractors, Air Peace, eBOM Air, whatever airline it is, if you check the tail number, it always starts with 5N. That's a code that is unique to Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, right? Then this airline that was brought in, this Boeing 737-800 series, it had the tail identifier ET-APL. ET is an identifier that is unique to Ethiopia. And if you check what the full code ET-APL, if you check it in a free online flight tracking service like Flight Radar 24, there are several services like that, but that's the one I used. You would see instantly that this was an aircraft that belonged to Ethiopian Airlines, had been leased very briefly to, I believe it was Malawian Airlines in 2014. It was purchased brand new in 2010. So first of all, he misrepresented even the age of the aircraft. It was presented as a brand new Nigeria Air aircraft. It didn't belong to anything called Nigeria Air. It belonged to Ethiopian Airlines, and it was over 11 years old, right, from when it was bought. So clearly he was lying about that. And then when you check the flight history of this website, which is also freely available using services like Flight Radar 24, you could see that in the days before this supposed Nigeria Air launch, this aircraft was operating for Ethiopian Airlines on a scheduled Addis Ababa to Mogadishu shuttle route. So to use that, to put that in perspective, that's like an aircraft belonging to Air Peace, which is doing the Lagos to Accra route regularly. And then all of a sudden it disappears for like 5 days. And then on the 6th day, it shows up in Abuja, wrapped in the colors of a different airline. And then they are giving it the water cannon salute, which is only given either to a plane that has a dignitary inside it or a brand new aircraft. And it's being presented as this thing called Nigeria Air. So I immediately raised the flag, and then I should also mention a contact of mine who was in Addis Ababa actually sent me a video of this plane on the tarmac in Ethiopia at Bole International Airport, where you could see the tail identifier ET-APL. Why that is so important is that the ex-Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, when he presented this arriving aircraft on his Twitter handle, he took a video of it and he posted it on his Twitter page to wide applause, right? What he did when he took that video was that he deliberately cut out the tail identifier. He didn't show the tail number. And in fact, at the point where the video was about to show the tail number, he actually shifted the camera away, so you wouldn't notice that the tail identifier is ET-APL. This aircraft is registered in Ethiopia and it belongs to Ethiopian Airlines. There's nothing Nigerian or Nigeria Air about this aircraft. He intentionally misrepresented the situation. He told a lie, right? So I thought this was more than enough to go public with. So I put that out. Now, what made it even more incredible, the sheer brazenness of this scam was the day after this aircraft was presented to Nigerians as Nigeria Air, despite the fact that people like me had already put this out into the public, and this is a scam, this is broad daylight fraud. apparently, he just didn't care. So the day after this aircraft was presented, it was sent back to Ethiopia, and you could actually track the movement like that. Lots of Nigerian airlines use that thing called a wet lease, where an aircraft is leased either from a leasing company or from another airline. But the point is, whether it's purchased, you purchase an aircraft or you wet lease it, as long as it belongs to you, a Nigerian airline, it must be registered in Nigeria. So it will have the tail identifier 5M, right? So it's like you've bought a car, right? Whether or not you bought it from a Nigerian user or you bought it from a foreign supplier, as long as they are using it in Nigeria, it must have a Nigerian license plate, right? In this case, this aircraft, you could clearly see, was registered in Ethiopia. So there's no way that a Nigerian airline can claim to use an aircraft which is not registered in Nigeria. That is simply not how aviation works.
You've watched. If you have not yet subscribed, go ahead, hit the subscription button and the notification button to get more of the videos as we drop them issues that are going on around globe and especially in Nigeria. Thank you for watching.